Hey guys, welcome to another World of Tanks video. Today just going to be answering a question that I seem to get asked a lot when I stream by newer players, is what tank line do I start, what tank should I aim for, and we're going to answer those two questions today. What tank should you play? Well, that is down to your play style. Like for example, in say a first person shooter, did you snipe a lot? You know, if you played Battlefield 4, do you just snipe, or are you one of those guys that wants to get in there straight off the bat? Well, you could probably use that, your previous game experience to determine what role you want to play in tanks. So RE, you're a scumbag, you're just going to drop bombs from the sky onto other tanks, that's your job. Light tank, you're going to be scouting. You can passively scout, you can YOLO scout and chuck yourself into the the battle. You'll die within a minute and a half, but that's essentially what you do. And you also can RE hunt if you get lucky enough to get through the other tanks on the team. Medium tanks, again, that's hitting, running, moving when firing, doing drive-bys, potentially sniping. But it all depends on the sort of medium you've actually got and what line you've went down. It all varies very slightly. So you've got auto loaders, tanks with mediums with no armor, mediums with some armor, so you can do a bit of brawling and so on. Heavy tanks, you want to get in there like Rambo, angle that armor, do some damage. Basically, you're the front line. Tank destroyers, if you want to snipe with a tank destroyer, not with a heavy. That's all we're going to say on that subject. So yeah guys, that's the roles, that's for the best way I can explain them to the tech trees. We'll start Russian. This is normally the one that's recommended first by the majority of players because they're quite forgiving tanks. So starting at the top, you've got the tank destroyers. I would recommend probably the Object 268 tier 10 to aim for first, just because the gun's mounted at the front and the tier 8 and tier 7 on the line below it have got the gun mounted at the back, so you could easily get tracked. And if you're not if you're not thinking about this sort of thing when you first start playing, it could become an issue in games, and you can get perma-tracked and die, and it can become a very frustrating experience. I know from experience of playing the A44, which is the mediums down, and the Object 416, which I'm currently grinding. So your mediums and the Russians, pretty good brawling heavies. T62A, very good example of that on the tier 10 line. Really worth going down at some point when you're playing this game. We then have the IS-7. Very good heavy tank, very good line to go down. The armor on the tanks is very good. Once you've got the guns upgraded, the guns are some of the best in the tiers. There's not a lot to say apart from it's very solid and very forgiving tanks. The line below that, the IS-4, very good heavy tank again, quite slow, but with the actual armor itself, very good tank. So is the tier 9. So really, you can't go very wrong on this line at all. And below that, you've got your eye, you drop bombs on people, if that's your thing. So where we're going to go next? Let's go to the USA, because this is probably most people's second choice. It was in my case. Go for the E5 guys. Very good heavy tank, good gun, good armor. There's not much more you could really want. The mobility is pretty decent as well. Line's pretty solid. You want to avoid the T1 heavy and the M6 because they're like driving fridges. I just wouldn't think they're very fun tanks. I haven't personally played them, but when I see people playing them, you know, they just struggle because they're so big. It's like driving a tog. Tank destroyers pretty decent, all predominantly really slow though. The medium line auto loaders, so you've got a clip. When you fire that clip, you go onto a long reload for about 20-30 seconds, and then you'll have, you know, your shells reloaded, then you pew pew again, reload 20 seconds and come back out. It's a bit of a hit and runner. Then you've got the Ardy. You also got the standard medium tanks at the patterns, actually, I forgot to mention them. They're getting a buff soon, the pattern is. But yeah, it's quite a solid medium tank, but it's not a very popular one when you've got the Russian heavies, which are just low profile, smaller, and can brawl. But don't rule it out, man. It's a good tank, in my opinion. So, Germans, renowned for getting set on fire, so you will need a fire extinguisher if you haven't already got one equipped. Dirty Arty, some tank destroyers, more tank destroyers, so Infantry E100, autoloader, the Jagdpanzer E100, just a beast of a tank destroyer. Both lines are decent. You've got to be careful with the E100 line, because all those TDs are pretty much paper. If you see one of these in the battlefield, just shoot it anyway. You haven't got an aim, to be fair, most tanks. But really, you shouldn't be spotted, and you should be thinking about camo and staying still, staying behind the bush. Hopefully you've bought credit camo as well. But anyway, moving on, we've got the mouse. Again, the turret's mounted on the back of this. It's not this. Not. I don't know really about this. It is straightforward in my head how to play, but I'm not sure if a new person would understand how to play it. You've got a lot of hit points. Turret's mounted at the back. You've got one obvious weak spot right at the front of the tank. In the guns, pretty decent. You are just literally a meat shield when you play that tank, more than anything. And if it's an open map, the Arty is going to destroy you because you're really slow. But the line leading up to it is good. But the actual tier 10, it's not my play style, so I wouldn't say it's that much fun. That brings us to the E100 line, tank line again, pretty solid. You're playing heavies, like the Tiger 1 is a box, which can be quite difficult to play. But you just need to angle the armour and just snipe with this thing, the Tiger 1. Tiger 2, it gets better, and E75 is probably one of the best tier 9s in the game, in my opinion. I did actually really like that tank. I'll probably buy it back someday. Then we've got the mediums. So the E50 is just a beast. The gun on it though, I think, is just one of those ones that will just pew pew for like a tiny amount of damage, but it makes up with it with its armour. No, the gun's pretty decent actually for a tier 10. Excuse me guys, I'm talking bullshit. Back to that tech trait. Yeah, E50 is pretty solid. The Leo 1, on the other hand, is a very squishy tank. Very quick, very good camo rating, very good gun, but you don't want to be brawling with it if you can avoid it. You want to be fire on the move if you've got to like go for somebody. You don't want to stop. It will get ammo wrecked most of the time. You need a decent crew on it basically. You need to be building this tier 10 crew up from like maybe tier 6. So you've got a really beast crew by the time you get to Leo 1. It will help you immensely. You really need 6th sense in that tank so you can get out of dodge really quickly. But yeah guys, that's the tank trees that I recommend. You probably start down, like pick 2 of them maybe, so you're not stuck waiting for your tank to come out. and just grind 2 lines at a time. There's no rush for you to get tier 10. Rushing to get tier 10 is just going to cause you to get destroyed at tier 10, and all that means is you're going to lose credits and probably not enjoy the game as much, because the lower tiers are going to be easier than, you know, tier 10. Pretty straightforward, really. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. In any comments would be welcome, but hopefully I'll be making more videos to help new guys play World of Tanks in the future. So guys, thanks for watching, see you again next time.